Well, there's two types of brownings, isn't there? There's brownings and there's Japanese brownings. Today we bring you a browning. Before we move on, let's just qualify that comment. So, brownings originally, before they were made by Marucco, en masse, were made in Belgium by FN Herstal. This is one of the remnants of that age. In fact, this is actually quite an old one, but the B25 is one of the remnants of that age. It is the hand-built, or at least very much hand-built, Browning shotgun. I mean, to all intents and purposes, they are extremely similar to a Japanese Browning, but they're not quite the same. This particular B25 is a B2G skeet gun. So, let's come in close, have a little look, and see what we have to offer. So here we have the Browning hard heel plate. The fact this is called the Browning Custom Shop kind of gives you a bit of a flavour for what these guys do. They build custom guns. So, as much as they have a standard spec sheet for what a B2G should be, you will see a variety of B2Gs, or any model will have slight variants, because when you're ordering one of these new, as they are today, as it was when this was built back in 1976, you can have whatever you like. You're paying enough money, so you go, actually, no, I don't want the plastic heel plate. I'll have it finished in wood, or I'll have it finished in metal, or a soft pad, or pretty much whatever you want. So this one has the Browning plastic heel plate, again, obviously hand fitted to the hand finished oil finished stock. This is just a standard B grade piece of wood, nothing too exotic. However, again, I've seen plenty of paid upgrades. I've also seen some downgrades for some reason. I've seen some very, very plain B2Gs. But this one, actually, I think you'll agree, is very nice for what it is. It's got enough character. It's a bit plain in areas, but all in all, not too bad. Moving on, you have hand checkered grips. Very fine checkering on this model. I've seen fine, I've seen coarse, but I've seen much more of this kind of stature. It's about 28 lines per inch, I reckon, with a triple border, which is a real treat. And it is executed obviously very well because, well, you would be, because it's a real Browning. Obviously, Japanese Brownings are hand checkered as well, but not to this kind of style. You have drop points, or teardrops, or whichever you'd like to call them, on the sides there. A fixed swept back trigger. Again, trigger options are rife and you'll see many choices out there. It's a very open grip, and sort of for a late 70s skeet gun, this is pretty much a standard recipe actually. 27.5-inch barrels, fixed skeet and skeet, fixed grip, slightly swept back to give you a quicker mount, swept back trigger so you're not fussing off trying to find it at any point. Altogether rather exciting. Manual safety, gold inlaid SO and U, so it's a manual selectable safety. And then we get onto the action. And the action is where a B2G sort of comes into itself and is extremely recognisable for what it is. This is a B2G engraving, and the engraving pattern is fairly set. As you can see, you have a partridge on the bottom, pheasants on the right, and ducks on the left, all surrounded by scroll work and this nice textured background. All the borders are nicely cut out, and these carved fences here that lead straight into the barrel work lead for an absolutely stunning metal to metal fit. And worth saying at the same time that the wood to metal fit on this gun is just heavenly, really. Actually, this is how guns should be made. But we'll get onto why they should be made like this in a bit, and why they're not made like this on the most part in a bit, because that really revolves around price. The engraving is done very well enough in fact that the chap who did it put his signature on there, and we have JM Boulanger on the side there. Lovely, right? It's nice to actually have a piece of art that someone's put their name on, and you know, there's certain ones who are better and certain ones who are less good, but for the most part, a B2G is a B2G is a B2G, and they are all pretty good. Certain ones are slightly more sought after, but that is less of an issue. As you can see, it's kind of stylized to the period, but they haven't changed a huge amount. So these ducks are very stylized, as is the partridge, as are the pheasants. There is a certain speed element done to the way they're done. It's not 1,000 hours per bird kind of thing. Somebody hasn't spent a month on each animal creating this perfect bit of artwork, because this is, as much as it is a custom gun, it's kind of a custom production gun. So when you pick up two B2Gs, the patterns will be slightly different, but pretty much the same. You got to imagine if it was your job just to say, all right, your job is the right hand face of actions. Not that it works that way, but you'd get very good at roughing out that and roughing it out until you got it perfect for someone else to finish, or so on and so forth. But that goes for the whole action. Long trigger guard there with 2 screws, again all hand engraved and lovingly inlet into the woodwork, absolutely perfect. Hand engraved, lovely little borders, and a beaver tail forend. It almost seems funny now to see a beaver tail forend without a full pistol grip, but this is the way skeet guns were built, again, back in the 70s, and to a certain extent up until about 20 years ago. Balance wise, you're about 1/8 of an inch in front of the hinge pin. However, it's a little forend fussy where they've got so much weight in that forend versus the stock with the short barrels. It handles like an early skeet gun, extremely quick, but without being erratic. Very nice, actually. The forend obviously was designed by John Browning to be attached to the barrels, because God gave us 2 hands, so why would you have 3 parts to a gun, correct? As such, on most every B25 you have this lovely little wear mark on the front here, and there's very little you can do to avoid having that by having a very rattly forend, which kind of defeats the object of having such a nice gun. Yeah, the forend is not quite full beaver tail, but it is plenty full enough. One large checkering panel that covers the bottom there. Ejector wise, the ejectors run on a very similar system to your modern Brownings, obviously with all of the spring work inside the action. Let's just pop it back together. So you have to prime the ejectors, push the forend forward, pop that in, top lever across, closes, tongue down, push it in, and that goes down. In reverse, push this in, and that comes up, pull it forward, lift that tongue up there, and away you go. So a 27.5 inch barreled skeet and skeet choked gun. I mean, who wants one of these for starters? Not that many people. A lot of people now obviously want the variety that life can bring them in a multi-choke 30-inch sporter that will shoot everything they want. However, I think this has a lot of underestimated value, as we've shown on a couple of occasions. To take just a skeet gun out and shoot your average clay shoot, it's plenty more than adequate. To go and shoot normal pheasants and decoy pigeons, it's plenty more than adequate. In fact, some would say it's probably the perfect gun for lowland shooting. However, that's by the by. So mechanically this gun is absolutely sound, but aesthetically is slightly less good, which means this gun is just over £3 grand. That's a fair amount of money, you say, but for a hand-built gun, is it really? When one of these new is going to set you back up and near £20,000. Yes, you can pick a fairly rancid one up for about 2 and a bit, but mechanically, I'd rather have something that was mechanically good with a little bit of metal tarnishing that you can get cleaned up, than something that was aesthetically beautiful but had been absolutely shot out. Favourite bits on a B2G, always this carving work around the top here. Any sort of decent quality metal carving, always. I mean, it's a hell of an art, isn't it? Almost as much as engraving itself. But actually the metal to metal fit and the wood to metal fits that this gun provides over anything else, well, it's just second to none. Let alone when you open one up and have a look at the insides and every little part is polished. It makes me tingle inside. It's just a delicious thing. There's so much in this gun that makes me feel like value for money. There's very little other place in the world you'll be able to pick up a completely hand-built gun for under £4 in almost mint condition. And that in itself is just a wonderful thing. This is the art of gun making. The Browning B25. I love it. Guys, take care. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.